Good evening. It's a really beautiful August night. In August in Colorado, things start to get kind of on the cooler side at night. So that's happening now. Just gonna give a minute and let people join. I'm having a little cocktail. My nails and my drink match. That always makes me happy. I have a live audience. It's a half naked man though, so I'm not going to turn the camera around because that's just for me, just for fun. You can type. That's fine. I don't care. You can make noise. I can't see who's on. I can see that people are on, but I can't see who. So say hi. I'm drinking I just bought this jasmine liqueur. I love flowers. I love everything about flowers. I love drinking them, eating them, wearing them, looking at them. There's lots of flowers you can't see them, but there's lots of flowers around me right now. So anyway, jasmine liqueur with gin and lemon and honey, orange blossom honey, because flowers, you know, and some lemon. I think I said that already. It's really, really good. I just it's new to me. Hi, Nancy. Hi, Juana. How are you ladies in your neck of the woods? I love being able to connect with people all over the world this way. So let's talk about trusting you. Hi, Parisa. Bunch of people jumping on now. Nice to see you all. Okay. So trusting you. It's one of those sort of, hey, Sandy. It's one of those things that is kind of a lifelong, choice, exploration. It's like having trust for yourself it's something that requires a lot of kind of presence and awareness and willingness to be courageous and be different. And, especially now, like there's so much going on in the world. There's so many narratives happening all over, and there's so much judgment with all of it that there's all this, kind of energy around, trust the experts, not yourself, trust what I say because you just should, just for no other reason other than you should, but what happens when we blindly trust other people, or when we trust other people instead of ourselves, hey Teresa, is that we actually we're basically like invalidating our being. And you're trusting you and trusting your awareness is actually it's kind of all that you've got in a way, and in a good way, because it's everything. Your awareness is everything. You can create anything you desire to create in your life, everything you desire to create in your life, from that space of trusting you and from awareness and knowing what it is that you know. And knowing what we know and knowing that we know, that's something that we give up so frequently in favor of other people, in favor of other people's points of view, in favor of other people's bullying, in favor of other people's quote unquote expertise. And yet, we have this amazing tool in Access Consciousness. It's light or heavy, and it's one of the first tools you get. And it's actually like, I think it's a tool that you just kind of deepen your awareness of and with over time dynamically. But basically what is true for you, because what's true for you is not true for me, is not true for anybody else. We might have things that are true for us that are similar, but what is true for you is true for you as an infinite being. It's going to have a lightness to it. It's going to have an expansiveness to it. It's going to create, like, there's a lightness in your world, and you might experience that in your body. You might experience that with just a sense of like expansion. And what's a lie for you is going to feel heavy. It's going to have this sense of like contraction, density. You might feel it in your body again. You might just have an awareness of like, you know, that's a feeling of heaviness. And a lot of times what happens is people take that tool and then they sort of misidentify and misapply it. Hi, Marita. And they actually go, you know, if I don't want to do something, it's heavy. And if I do want to do something, it's light. No, that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about awareness, and awareness doesn't have a point of view. This is where you ask that you literally are like in conversation with the universe, and you're in conversation with your being, you, an infinite being, and you're actually checking in with the energy of things. Like, okay, is this true for me? What I'm hearing now, what I'm perceiving, what I know I could be choosing or whatever. Or is it a lie for me? Is it light for me? Is it heavy for me? And I've had so many things in my life that were so light that made no fucking sense at all, that I chose them and it just turned into something really magical and miraculous. And then things that I really wanted to do that were heavy energetically, there was a heaviness to them. And either I didn't do them and it created more, or I did do them and then it created a lot of crap. So it's one of the ways that we can actually know, you know, kind of like how, like, not necessarily like how to move in the world, but it's this incredible sort of energetic compass that we get to use. Hey, Gwen. I just wanted to read Awana's comment, but it's this incredible energetic compass that we can use that allows us to have this sense of the energy of things, because you're an infinite being, you are an energetic being, and the way that you create your life, it's going to be it's going to be way more dynamic, it's going to be way more effective, it's going to be way more, it's going to be a lot more ease, joy, and glory if you create from the energy of things rather than from your points of view, rather than from this is what I want, this is what I don't want, this is what should be, this is what shouldn't be. Our points of view just get in the fucking way so dynamically. And we think that we're in awareness, but we're really just having so many like points of view and judgments and like preferences about things that are based on judgments and our need to define ourselves and our need to define everything, and all of that is so clunky. It's slow, it doesn't really work, it doesn't really generate more. But when you just go, okay, if I don't have a point of view about this, and I can actually go with what the energy that's light, and I don't go with the energy that's heavy, then you're just following that which is going to create so much greater for you. I just wanted to read this from one. Following the ESB that Dr. Dane here just did, we just did a class in Tennessee, the energetic synthesis of being, brings me to this energy of trusting my choice to be embodied right now. A kind of relaxation comes with that. I love it. That's awesome. That's very awesome. Becky. Hello, Becky. Hello, my love. Nice to be with you all. I am drinking. For those of you joining late, I'm having a little jasmine gin thingy that's really good, and it matches my nails, which makes me happy. You probably noticed that too. I have a live audience here, a half-naked man, and he's laughing at me, and I love it. It matches my dress a little bit too. Okay. He's good. You're a keeper. But actually, I'll tell you guys a story. Talk about trusting you and following the energy. So years ago, this was before I actually had the tools of Access Consciousness, and this was in 2010. So 11 years ago, I got this hit. I had gotten on this this email. This was all following the energy. I didn't have the tools of access, but I was just playing with intuition. I called it intuition at the time. And I was following the energy. I was Googling stuff, and I wanted to know more about Tantra, and I was Googling stuff, and I got on this email list for this organization called the Divine Feminine Institute. And next thing I know, maybe a week later or so, I get this email in my inbox. I remember like exactly where I was when I saw it. And it's Intuition and Vision Retreat in Antigua. I'm like, what the hell? I open it up and I get this like huge download of energy that's like, go. You have to go to this thing. You have to be there. And meanwhile, I was in this moment in my life. I had gotten divorced a year or two earlier. And I had kind of come out of this year of like licking my wounds and sort of going, okay, I don't want to do that again. I want to do something different. I'd love to have a relationship, but it has to be really different. And was really asking for it and like looking at stuff and asking for things. And so I get this email from these guys and it's like, boom, this huge download of energy of like, fucking go to this thing, you know? And I have no idea who these people are. I don't know what they do. I don't really know anything about them. And I'm like, all right, universe, you know, if you want me to go, then show a sister the money, please, you know. It wasn't going to be cheap. I had, you know, my kids were really little and all that stuff, getting to Antigua in the Caribbean and blah, blah, blah. But it was so clear that I needed to be at this thing. I didn't know why. I didn't question it. I didn't, you know, I didn't, I just was willing to go with the energy. But I also was like, okay, if that's what I'm going to do, then I need the money for it, you know. And so, you know, fast forward many months, and because this was like, I don't know, 6 months, 5 months ahead of time, I sign up for the thing. I do the whole, you know, I get all ready to go, and I start to get this sense like a month before the retreat's about to happen. I'm like, I'm going to meet somebody at this damn thing, you know. And there was no point of view around it. It was just like this sense, this lightness of like, my life is going to totally change when I go to this retreat. And I didn't make it significant. I didn't make a big deal out of it. I was just like, things are going to change. All right, cool. And if they don't, that's fine too. Like, my life is great, you know, whatever. But I had the sense that there was somebody there that I was going to connect with. Well, I get to the retreat and I, you know, walk into the room the first night and I kind of scan the room energetically and I go, well, okay, obviously that's not happening, you know. And a couple minutes, 5 minutes later or so, I'm sitting in my chair. We're about to start. Lo and behold, this guy over here, this half-naked man sitting next to me over here, Brian, walks in and sits down right in front of me. And I go, oh my God, that's him. Like, I just knew it. There was this incredible lightness. And I'm just trusting myself this whole time. None of this makes sense. None of this, you know, most people would be like, you're crazy, you know. And I'm like, oh my God, this is the person that I was going to meet. And I didn't make any story of it. I just was like, okay. So we got up after the class that night and we, you know, started talking. And within 3 days, we were like, game on. You know, we were just like, let's do this, you know. And we totally followed the energy. And it was one of these things where it was like, you live in Seattle, you have 3 kids. I live in Boulder, I have 2 kids. Like, nobody's moving. What are we doing? But it was so light and there was so much energy there. And we were both just willing to follow it and be like, okay, you know. And there's so much more to this story. Maybe I'll tell it like in total at some point, because there were all these other moments where I knew, like, I could perceive him, and again, it's not a significance, but it was just this, like, the universe pointing me in the direction. And if I had fought that awareness, if I had been like, you know what, I don't have the money, I'm a single mom, I don't have $5,000 to spend on this thing, you know, or whatever it was, I get, universe, this is what we do, we go, universe, I get it. You'd like me to do this thing, but you know what? I'm too poor. You know, I don't have the money for it. So, you know, I'm not going to do it, you know, but that's where you let your mind get in your way of the energy. And if you follow the energy, your life will go, whoosh, it will explode. And it did for me. It was like that, my whole life, my whole future changed from that class. And I would have paid hundreds of thousands of dollars for that, you know, from what has been gifted to me and the relationship that we've created since then and the gift that it's been in my world. It's like, there's no amount of money that, you know, it wouldn't have been worth. And I would have figured it out, you know, And it's not even about you figuring it out. It's just about going, hey, universe, like, show me, bring it on. Let's do this. I'm in. Let's play, you know? And then you play and you go and you see where it goes, and you allow the universe to contribute to you. Because when you are willing to say yes to the lightness, when you're willing to follow the energy, like I was, where I was just like, I don't really have the money for this, so we got to make some shit happen. And somehow it just did. I don't really even know how. I didn't have the tools of access at the time, which are amazing money tools. I didn't have the tools at the time for creating, but I did have the willingness, and I was committed at the time. The thing that I was really exploring was intuition, you know, which translates now into following the energy, you know. And I was willing to let the universe contribute to me because it was so clear to me, go to this, go, your life is going to change. And so I did, and I'm so grateful that I did. And I could tell you a million stories like that where, you know, and a lot of times it comes down to money, unfortunately, you know, and we, as, you know, see the seekers of the world, we don't really care a whole lot about money. Money isn't, it's not really all that important to us, you know, which is a wonderful thing. And it's also something we really use against ourselves, because a lot of times we're like, well, money it's not really that important, so fuck it, I'm just not going to have it, you know. But no, include it, ask for it, be willing to receive it, be willing to have it, be willing to go for it. And you're so welcome, Alana. And be willing to play on like the playground of the universe, you know, where the universe is like, hey dude, like there's no limitations here. This is an infinite situation, you know, you're an infinite being. There's no limitations as to what you can choose and how much money you can have and what money you can have and what is actually possible, way beyond money, but like what's possible as us being these beings of consciousness in the world. There's no limit to any of it. We are infinite beings. But if you're an infinite being and you function from this tiny little peanut called your mind, you are robbing yourself. You are completely like disavowing you as an infinite being. You are invalidating you as an infinite being in favor of this fucked up, limited, boring as fuck reality, you know. And this reality, it really is so boring. And I would say more and more all the time, you know, there's so much, you know, right now there's just so many narratives about, you know, you need to trust the government and you need to trust the science and you need to trust the doctors and and it's so interesting how dynamic the messaging is, that is like completely designed to put people into fear and doubt. Those are, you know, two of the big ones, and shame and regret and guilt. Like these are distractor implants in Access Consciousness. If you are not familiar with the distractor implant conversation, take a foundation class or read the Living Beyond Distraction book. Because these are all these things that are used in this reality to distract you from knowing, to distract you from the potency of your awareness, what it is that you know, to distract you from the potency of your infinite being, to distract you from what's true for you. And so to trust you and to follow the energy, it takes this immense amount of trust your remote control, be a good sheep. I love it. Exactly. You're like, I'm good. You know, I'd rather be a dragon, unicorn, amoeba, like creature that's never been seen on the planet before, because that's more accurate, you know. But to especially nowadays, to trust you, to really, really trust you and what you know and what is true for you that may not be true for other people, you know, that is a very courageous choice right now in the world. And, you know, you see these, like, I see this stuff all over my town, Boulder, Colorado, which is very woke and very interesting at the moment. Not one of my favorite places at the moment, but all of this, we're in this together and we'll get through this together. And I'm like, no, I don't do sheep. I don't do sheep. I do me. and I do what I know, and I do what's true for me, and I'm going to choose what's true for me, and I'm going to follow what I know, and I'm going to follow the lightness, and I'm going to listen to my body, and I'm going to listen to what I know, and I'm not going to override me and my knowing for somebody else, for the narrative. And, you know, as the narrative gets stronger and stronger, there's also this, you know, it becomes this very thick field of like, you can't be trusted. Your body can't be trusted. You know, I mean, our bodies are like, you know, being so assaulted right now. Our bodies can actually be trusted. Like, more than your mind. I trust my body way more than I trust my mind. Let me tell you that. Like, my body knows way more than my mind does. Our bodies have a consciousness of their own that is constantly moving in the direction of greater, as we are as infinite beings, as is the universe. Our bodies have this consciousness of their own that is, if you are willing to submit to it, to let go, to relax, to receive, to be like, yes, take me on an adventure, take me on a journey, let's go, let's, you know, discover. It's amazing what can show up. It's amazing what can show up. But you have to be willing to trust you. And this is where, so doubt is one of the distractor implants, right? And it's one of the things that dynamically erodes our trust in ourselves. And it's designed literally to keep you from the potency of your being and the potency of your awareness. Which, if you're trusting you live from the potency of your awareness and the potency of your being. You as an infinite being have this incredible awareness that is yours, you know. Thank you, Alina. So you as an infinite being, you have this, you have knowing that nobody else has. This is the thing. But this reality is very invested in us not having that awareness, because if you did, you would be a threat to this reality. You wouldn't be a sheep. You would be somebody who would never be willing to be a sheep. And that's, you know, the grand design, especially what's going on right now, is like, you can't, you know, like, you need to trust all of us and blah, blah, blah. So, and the thing is, so there's all these things that distract us, like doubt and shame and da-da-da-da-da-da. If you don't follow the narrative, if you don't participate in vaccinations, if you don't whatever, you're, you know, you are, you should be ashamed, you should have guilt, you should be regretful, you should doubt yourself, you should be afraid, you're not being kind. You know, there's all these like ways that we get sort of psychologically bullied into giving up our trust of ourselves. But if you look at this also with creation, it's like, with our, you know, our minds have this, because if you look at like business and money in this reality, it's like, it's the same thing, you know. It's, business is a distractor implant as well. It's designed to keep you very busy so that you are distracted from the potency of your receiving and your being and your knowing. And business is actually way more about receiving than it is about doing. It's not busyness, it's creation. It's the creation of a future. And when you engage in the creation of a future, and you engage with creation, and you engage with creation from what you know that is unique to you, that does not apply to other people, it may or may not, but it's not really relevant. When you engage at that level with creation, hello, Desi Des. Cheers to you. You could just come up here right now and have a little sippy. But when you engage in creation and you do not engage with your mind, and you're like, okay, cool, I have these thoughts, I have these judgments, I have these points of view, whatever, you know, I am actually going to listen to the energy. I'm going to be this space of silence. I'm going to follow what it is that I know. You're going to have all kinds of things that come up that are like, ooh, but if you follow this energy, you might fuck up. Like when I told my story earlier of how I met Brian, and I went to Antigua, and I, spent, I don't know, probably $5,000-$6,000 doing the whole thing. And I didn't really have that money at the time, but it was like, if you're like, it was just the sense of like, I could have so easily been like, no, but I'm going to put myself in a financially tenuous position as a single mom if I do this, but that is limited reality. It had nothing to do with what I knew. Cheers to us in creation from the spacey happy silence and listening in communion. Yes, exactly. And just what changed in my life from going and meeting him is like just a completely different world for me, a completely different reality. But I was willing to go beyond my mind and to go, you know what? This is light. It's expansive. It's a fucking yes. I'm going to leave the how up to the universe. The how isn't up to you. The how is never a consideration. You don't ever need to think about how you're going to create something again. Leave it to the universe. Ask the universe to show you. Ask your body to show you. And it will. It will. But you have to listen. You have to be in that space of silence. You have to be willing to not be distracted. You have to follow the energy and to be willing to jump off cliff after cliff after cliff after cliff. Because that's what it is to trust you with creation, is cliff jumping. And the cliffs get higher, and the destination becomes more of a question mark all the time. You have no fucking idea where you're going, but you also totally have an idea where you're going. And it's a completely different world. But what occurs if you're willing to do that is that creation and the actualization of what it is that you're creating and you're asking for in your life, it speeds up so quickly because you're just going. You're just like, I'm not going to think, I'm going to go. I'm not going to think, I'm going to go. I'm going to go. I'm going to go, 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 go. And when you create like that, and there can be a lot of space, a lot of silence in that. It doesn't have to be busy, but it's the sense of this willingness to jump at any moment. The inspiration strikes and you're like, I'm booking a flight, I'm going to this thing, or I'm doing this, or I'm doing this. Okay, it's here, boom, I'm doing it, And this is a very, very dynamic part of trusting you, not looking back, not looking over your shoulder to wonder if somebody's going to validate your choice or if you're making the right choice. Forget about it. Who cares? Make lots of wrong choices. Make lots of wrong choices. Fuck shit up. And I'm speaking to myself as well. Like, there's a lot of things that I haven't been willing to just do, or create or choose or whatever, because I don't want to fuck it up right now. I'm like, I don't really know how to do this thing, It doesn't matter. Just go. Go. Choose it. Say yes. Say, universe, bring it on. Like when I was like, all right, I'm going to Antigua. I don't know how the fuck this is happening, but I'm doing it. I'm going to send in my application. I'm going to have my interview. I'm going to do the thing, And then this beautiful man sits in front of me and I'm like, hi, and there we go, and I initiated lots of conversations with him and, the rest is sort of history. But it was this willingness to be like, there's something here. I'm going to fucking go for it. And I can get rejected. I can fall on my face. I can fail. It doesn't matter. There's something here. I'm going for it. I'm going for it. I'm going for it. So, yeah. So that's mostly what I wanted to share. There's so much more. But that's, I think, good for now. I am starting a 10-day thing of trusting you with creation. I think I'm starting it on Monday. I was going to start it today, but we've pushed it back a little bit. And it's an energy pull, energetic exploration series, for 10 days on Monday, Facebook Lives, every day, trusting you with creation. And it's part of my generative business pods, which also starts on the 20th of August. And, so if you're in the pods or you've been considering joining the pods, it's part of that. It's included. And we just finished this amazing 3-part series called Being an Athlete with Your Business. That was just so fucking phenomenal. I'm really psyched with what we got to. And that's also included in the pod. So there's all kinds of yummy stuff going on this month around creation. And you are invited. So, yeah, you can find out all the info and the links and stuff on my website, heathernichols.com. I'm also doing an X-Men 2-day class and a Sex and Bodies class at the end of August in Seattle and online. It's all online. And the X-Men class is really cool. It's very much about knowing, like really getting to the difference that your awareness is, and having a trust of that way beyond this reality. Like, it's a really cool conversation. So lots of cool stuff coming up. Cheers from my Jasmine martini in my sweet Colorado yard with my half-naked man sitting across from me, who I'm going to go make out with now and make some dinner. Thanks, everybody, for being here. And thank you for you. Thank you for being here, being in this conversation, being willing to just be different, do different, choose different. The world requires that more than ever right now, like more than ever. And I'm really grateful to be on the planet with all of you right now, whether you're listening now or in the future. Thank you for you. You are far, far, far greater, far more phenomenal than you think you are, even if you think you're wonderful, which I hope you do, because you are. You're far more phenomenal even than that. And when we begin to get the gift, we get out of the wrongness of everything that we, think is wrong about us, because usually it's the things that are our greatest strength that are actually the things that we judge, because they don't fit in this reality anywhere. There's no context for you. There's no context for you in this reality. But when you get out of the judgment of that and the wrongness of that, and you begin to explore the difference of you, the greatness of you, what it is that you know, what it is that you have available that nobody else has, it's like your life becomes totally different. And then you're willing to just go and follow it and follow it and follow it and follow it. It's phenomenal what shows up. And truly, this is the part of the creating. We say a lot in Access, ignore this reality, create a new one. Don't worry about what's going on in the world. It's dying. It's dying a very slow, very trauma drama death, Oh, Catherine, so glad you were here. So we can ignore it. It's really unkind, really uncool to ignore a dying organism, but we're going to ignore it and create something totally different. And the only way that you can do that is by trusting you and your awareness, because that's where you begin to have access to everything that is beyond this reality. Because what is beyond this reality is what's true for you, what you know, and it's something that's never been seen before. Nobody has ever seen it or known about it, or it's these things that we have to bring to the world that nobody else has to bring to the world. They're yours to bring, they're mine to bring. Each one of us has this unique and phenomenal gift. And that's what's required right now. You don't need to fight anything that's going on. Let it kill itself. It's killing itself. What can you create now as you? That's totally different. So thank you for you. Go forth and choose like a motherfucker. And I hope to see you sometime soon.